Today, we are diving into a sensitive but important topic: extramarital affairs. They are painful and complex. And my goal today isn't to justify them, but to unpack the blind spots, biases, and unspoken needs that often play a role. This video is about understanding what's going on beneath the surface when a man cheats. Why does this happen? What does it mean? And more importantly, what are the blind spots? The psychological biases that many women carry without even realizing it. We will look at it from wife's perspective, the husband's inner world, and what drives these situations. If you are a woman married for 10, 15, or even 20 years, and you are struggling to understand why your husband is straight, this video is for you. This video is also for you if you're married and want to prevent any such incident and bring a fresh spark into your relationship. What we are talking today might be unpleasant to our ears, but it's the truth backed by science. Remember, the truth sets you free. I'm your coach Vivek Singh, and you're watching See You Alchemy. First, let's acknowledge the elephant in the room. Affairs hurt. They shatter trust, leave emotional scars, and can upend lives. If you're a woman dealing with this, you might be asking, why did this happen? What did I miss? It's natural to feel betrayed, angry, or even blame yourself. But here is the truth: affairs don't happen in a vacuum. They're often the result of unmet needs, miscommunications, and psychological factors on both sides. Let's start with wife's perspective. When an affair comes to light, it's easy to focus on betrayal and miss the bigger context. Here are some common blind spots and psychological biases that most women might not realize are shaping their viewpoint and thought process. First is the assumption of shared priorities. 10 years into marriage, life is busy: kids, career, aging parents, or mortgages. As a wife, you might assume your husband's priorities mirror yours: stability, family, routine. But men in their 40s often hit a phase where they question their identity and purpose. They might crave adventure, validation, or even the sense of being alive. Things you might not even realize they're missing because you're both so caught up in your routine. This mismatch in priorities can create distance without you noticing. Second is confirmation bias. If you've been married for years, you might think you know your husband inside out. You assume he is content because he's always been the provider, the steady one. So when he seems distant, you might chalk it up to stress or midlife crisis. This bias can blind you to subtle signs that he's feeling unfulfilled or disconnected. Third is the good wife trap. Many women, as they age, they pride themselves on being the glue that holds family together. You cook, plan, nurture, and keep the ship sailing. But this can lead to a blind spot. You might focus so much on doing that you overlook being, being present, being playful, or being emotionally intimate with your husband. Over time, he might feel like he has lost his partner who cared for him. Fourth is blaming the other woman. When an affair happens, it's tempting to villainize the other woman. She's the temptress, the homewrecker. This is a psychological defense mechanism called scapegoating. It's easier to blame her than to face the harsher truth. Something in the marriage is not working. The other woman isn't the cause. She's often the symptom of a deeper issue. And lastly, self blame and insecurity. Finally, many women internalize the affair thinking, I'm not enough, not attractive enough, not exciting enough. This stems from a cognitive bias called personalization, where you take full responsibility for someone else's actions. But let me tell you, an affair is rarely about your worth. It's more about your husband's choices and unmet needs, which we will dive into next. Let's understand this from psychological perspective. A very well-known psychotherapist, Dr. Esther Perel, they studied couples across cultures who experienced infidelity. One striking finding was the majority of men who cheated were not unhappy with their wives. They were unhappy with themselves. They were chasing a version of themselves they had lost, adventurous, confident, and passionate. The affair wasn't about the other woman, as often misunderstood. It was about reawakening a dormant identity which they feared of losing. Now let's shift the gears and figure out what's going on with the men. This isn't about excusing affairs, it's about understanding what might drive a man to cross that line. Men in their 40s face unique pressures, and their needs can evolve in ways that surprise even them. Number one, midlife identity crisis. You have probably heard of midlife crisis, but it's not about just sports car or being visible. By their 40s, men often grapple with questions like, is this all there is? Have I peaked? They might feel trapped by routine or burdened by responsibilities. An affair can feel like an escape, a way to reclaim the sense of youth, freedom, or excitement. Psychologically, it's less about the other woman and more about chasing a version of themselves they feel they've lost. Second is the need for validation. Usually, men often crave validation that goes beyond the roles as a provider or as a father. At home, they might feel taken for granted, not because you don't love them, but because life's demands leave little room for admiration or appreciation. Another woman might offer compliments, attention, or a sense of being seen, which can be intoxicating if he has been feeling invisible for years. Third is emotional disconnection in marriage. Let me surprise you with this truth. Men need emotional intimacy just as much as women, but they're often less equipped to express it. If a marriage has become transactional, focused on schedules, kids, bills, he might feel emotionally starved. An affair can seem like a shortcut to feeling understood, even if it's fleeting or just superficial. Fourth is social pressure or masculinity. Society puts a lot of pressure on men to be strong, successful, and in control all the time. By their 40s, some men feel they are falling short. Maybe they're not as fit, not climbing the career ladder enough, or not keeping up with younger peers. An affair can be a way to prove their desirability or masculinity, especially if they're struggling with their self esteem. And lastly, seeking novelty and passion. After years of marriage, the spark can fade, not because the love is gone, but because familiarity breeds routine. Men in their 40s crave novelty or passion, not because they don't value their wife, but because they are wired to seek new experiences. An affair offers that rush, even if it comes at a devastating cost. Now let's examine it from behavioral science perspective. A longitudinal study from Harvard Business Review found that men in their 40s experience a psychological dip called U-shaped happiness curve. This is scientifically observed phenomenon where life satisfaction hits a low point in late 30s to mid 40s, regardless of income, education, or marital status. Men start questioning the meaning of their life. They don't always verbalize it, but they feel it. That's often when risky behavior, including affairs, peaks. Not because they stop loving their spouse, but because they stop loving their life. When a man begins an affair, it's not about the other woman, it's about how he feels in her presence. He feels desired. He feels listened to. He feels free. In an affair, there is no expectations, no responsibilities, just escape. The weight he carries at home disappears for a while, and in that space, he rediscovers the version that he misses in himself. Think of your relationship like a violin. In the beginning, it was played with care. You both tuned it, explored the notes, and created the music together. But over time, life got busy. The violin was placed on a shelf, forgotten, unplayed. What happens to an instrument left untouched for years? It collects dust. Its strings go out of tune, and the music fades into silence. Your husband may not be looking for a new violin. He may just be aching to hear the music again within himself. And if someone else picks up the instrument and plays a melody that makes him feel alive, seen, and valued, he becomes vulnerable to that sound. So, where does this leave us? If you are a woman grappling with this, understand these dynamics can be a starting point, not to excuse the affair, but to reclaim your power. Here is how you can bridge the gap. The first thing, wake up from your comfort zone and challenge your biases. Step back and ask, what might I have missed? Look for signs of disconnection before an affair, not just after. Check in, not just about logistics, but about feelings, goals, fears. Ask questions you asked when you were dating. Second is acknowledge his struggles. Many men feel invisible in their own homes. Acknowledge his stress, his aging, his dreams. Don't just tell him what he should do. Ask him what he feels. That question alone can be a game changer for your relationship. The third thing is reconnect as lovers, not just partners. Bring back physical and emotional intimacy. Flirt, surprise him. Small gestures like compliments, date nights, or just listening to music together can build connection. Let him feel that you still want him as a man, not just as a co parent. It's not about fixing him, it's about rediscovering each other. Fourth is be willing to grow together. Marriage in your 30s and 40s is not the same as it was in your 20s. It requires conscious evolution. Are you both growing or just surviving? Are you still sharing dreams or just the roof? Ask these questions and reflect sincerely. And lastly, seek support. Whether it's a therapy, a trusted friend, or a counselor, don't carry the pain alone. Healing is a journey, and with a partner, it becomes easy. And the most important thing, an affair doesn't define you. You are enough, and your husband's choice reflect his struggles, not your value. Affairs are messy, painful, and deeply human. They expose cracks in a marriage, but they don't have to be the end. By understanding your blind spots and your husband's needs, you can start to see the bigger picture, not to blame yourself. No denying cheating is a breach of trust, but remember, it's also a signal of loneliness, disconnection, and silent suffering of a man. Whether you choose to rebuild, walk away, or just reflect, know that you are not alone and there is hope for healing. Share this with someone who needs to hear and subscribe for insights and conversations that matter to you. See you in the next video.